Good morning and welcome to my hobby bench one more time for a quick look at more engines to run. So I've got 3 engines on the table here to run, and they are all on loan to me from a friend of mine, Chris, of Perky Plains RC, the YouTube channel. So go to his channel, check out all his videos, subscribe, like them all, do all that great stuff to support my friend Chris. So, Chris, these are your engines. On the table you'll see that I've got the 3 engines that Chris sent to me. Now we'll start with the oldest and go to the newest. The first engine here is a Foxhawk 60. Now this engine dates back to 1975 is when it came out. Let me move these other engines out of the way so you're not as distracted from the beauty of this engine. So Duke Fox came up with many unique designed engines, and it almost seemed like every single one of his designs featured a totally different carb, and this one is no different. This carb is a saddle mount carb, and it's got your standard high-speed needle, and then I believe that this one is your low-speed or mixture adjustment, and then I'll hopefully be able to see the workings of this. This one here sets the... This doesn't have a rotating barrel. It has more of a butterfly style thing, and it sets the closure or the idle speed, the low speed of that. These other 2 screws that are here, I don't know what they do. And maybe they just hold it together, but this looks like the fuel inlet. So this is just a unique engine, something I've never had on this channel before. So it's going to be really interesting to run. This is one that Chris actually wanted me to do a little bit of cleanup on. So I'm not going to disassemble this engine. I'm not going to put it in the ultrasonic. What I'm going to do is just use a toothbrush, some Q-tips, and some aluminum cleaner, and just kind of go around here and clean this thing up. I'll take the exhaust off, and that's probably the extent of any disassembly I'll do. So engine number 2 from oldest to new, K&B 45 Sportster engine. Now this engine came out in 1988, and the Sportster series of engines was really a big departure for K&B at the time, because they were really more into the high performance pattern, combat, and really high performance engines. And this was the Sportster series, was really the series that's kind of set the tone for them to do more of the economy sport type Sunday flyer type thing. So this does have a review article. I'll link that review article as well as the Foxhawk 60, and you can read about this engine. But this engine dates back to 1988. Interesting year, because that's the year I entered the hobby. One of the things that's so special about the Sportster series engines, or different anyway, is that they have this 2-piece exhaust. This muffler is very, very quiet, and this is a mid-range piece that all of this bolts together. So that's good and bad, because you've got more pieces that can work loose. And Chris, I know I was pretty adamant. You were going to send me a different exhaust with this engine, and I was pretty adamant about saying, no, please just send me the stock exhaust, because I want to, use that. But it turns out I'm probably not going to be able to use this stock exhaust. And the reason is because this rear screw here is not biting into anything here. It's just in there. So it's loose. So fortunately, I've got your other engine, which is the 3rd engine I'll show. That exhaust does bolt up to this engine. I'll just have to go to the hardware store and get some longer screws to get more secure, or I've got another OS engine muffler that might fit too. So this was engine number 2, K&B 45 Sportster. The final engine, I'm not sure the year this engine came out. This is a Tower Hobbies 40. This is their basically their copy of the OS 40 FP. In fact, does it say where it was made? Doesn't say where it was made. It may have been contracted by, I don't know, OS? I'm not really sure. But this is a bushed bearing engine, so it doesn't have ball bearings. It's just got bushing that's one big brass or bronze bushing that's cast throughout the crankcase here. And it features an air bleed carb, just like the FP series engines. It's got a throttle stop screw, which is always really nice. And then of course it incorporates this angled needle valve. Now these angled needle valves are always one of those things where in theory they sound like a good idea, but in reality they're not necessarily such a good idea, because I can tell you why. Because there are several connections here. You've got this connection here and you've got this connection here. Well, the way this is set up right now, my fuel line has got to come up and over and put a kink in my line to get at this. So I'm going to have to loosen this up and rotate this a hair, because if I rotate it so that it's fully back, now it's pointing at the engine. So like I said, these angled carb things, not necessarily the greatest idea. In theory, they're great for keeping your fingers further from the prop, but in reality, they're just not that effective unless I can just loosen that nut there and rotate this whole thing down so that it comes down a little bit more, so that this nozzle or the fuel inlet isn't pointing straight up. Actually, it's pointing straight. It's not even pointing straight up. It's pointing towards the prop. So that's not a good thing, because the fuel line would have to come up and do this big bend. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of playing with this thing to see if I can get it. And then of course, Chris, I'm probably going to have to take this thing off because I don't use these type of connectors. Okay, good. It just comes right off. All right, I'll put that in the bag. Good. No issues there. So anyway, the other thing that's interesting about this is, you see here that Tower Hobbies logo that's like an arrow? They've got that cast into the top of the head, which I think is kind of cool. That's a very unique thing. And of course here you got the same logo again. It says Tower Hobbies. So Tower Hobbies was really proud of this engine. And this is an engine that would probably be paired really well to be run with either one of my 40 FPs or the engine I tried to run late last year, which I had some issues with the high-speed needle, which is the Thunder Tiger GP42. Basically the same thing, bush bearing engine. I think it even had an air bleed carb. So it would be a very good pairing to run this with that, even though I don't believe that I had that Thunder Tiger GP42. Maybe that was on my video list of engines to run. So anyway, those are the 3 engines that Chris has sent to me to run on the channel. All of them have never been featured on the channel before, so it's just going to increase the size of the database. It's going to be a wonderful thing, and I'm really excited about doing it. And Chris, thank you very much for the opportunity to play with some of your engines too. Have a wonderful day.